I have a lot of new Facebook friends, and I figured a lot of you probably don't really know a whole lot about my story, and I'm not going to go into every detail of it, but I haven't come on live in a while and I wanted to share. In 1997, I got married to Ken, and at the time, he was a successful insurance agent in Spanish Fort, owned his agency. His father had an agency in Saraland, and I was working for an ophthalmologist. And we were rocking along pretty fine. I was actually in school for nursing as well. In 1999, my father-in-law offered me more money to come to work for him, knowing that one day he would retire and Ken would purchase his agency. Over the course of the next few years, Ken and I struggled with infertility. And after 5 long years and a lot of infertility treatments, we became pregnant with Connor. In 2004 is when we got pregnant, and my father-in-law decided that he was going to go ahead and retire. So we began the process of taking out a loan for the business. And before you start thinking, sure, you probably got the family deal, well, it was over 7 figures. So in December of 2004, we had Connor after all the infertility struggles. In January of 2005, we took over my husband's father's business. So we had a brand new 1-month-old baby and had just gone well over 7 figures in debt. Shortly thereafter, within about a month or so, we had 2 employees leave abruptly. That thrust me back into work. So I went back into the agency and Connor went to daycare. Luckily, my in-laws did watch him a couple of days a week, but he went to daycare because that's what we do, right? We have our kids, we send them to daycare. So I went to work and I began to struggle with postpartum depression. But because of what we had been through with the infertility, I didn't feel like I could say anything about it, so I didn't. So I suffered in silence for the next about 3 years. In 2008, I had a full breakdown and lost a few months of my life. It was rough. I had a 3-year-old. My husband had 2 offices. He needed me, but I was absent. So long story short there, I got help, I got healthy, overcame the eating disorder, and I transitioned back into the agency with the help of some amazing staff at the time. You know who you are. So I transitioned back into work, got healthy, and a few years later we got pregnant with Reese. Well, I knew that I was wanting to transition to home, but it really didn't make any sense because when you own your business, Ken needed me. And so we had Reese. He was a surprise baby at the age of 36. That was not cool or fun. It was a rough pregnancy. But anyway, I transitioned home. Or I went on back to work after Reese was born. But because he had a stroke in utero, I didn't put him in daycare. So I actually had the luxury to bring him to work with me, which was actually great. So he came to work with me. And there's some other stories in there where I ended up having to open my own agency, and I can go into that later on in another video. But anyway, so I went back to work after I had Reese, pretty shortly after I had him, probably about a month or so, and worked. And then in January of 2013, it started coming to the point where we realized I needed to transition home. I was needed at home. Well, I'd worked since I was 15, so being 37 and coming home was odd. It was very, very odd, but I knew that's where I was needed, so I came home. We sold my business in, he's born in 2011, we sold it in 2014, we sold my business. And I continued to stay home for a while, and that was great, but I don't think I truly appreciated it, being at home. And I wanted something to do, and let me also say this, that even though once I transitioned home, that did cut our pay because Ken had to replace me. And so we started taking income out of our household and put that towards employees. So I transitioned home, and so while it may think, well, yeah, your husband owned his business, you were doing fine, you weren't making any money to begin with. No, that's not true, because he then had to take money out of our household and pay for an employee. So that became very difficult. And having 2 kids in private school, that's not cheap or easy for us. So when Reese began St. Paul's, I knew I had to do something, and I wanted something for me, something that I could do and still be present parent. but I don't think I really understood what being a present parent really meant or appreciated it. So enter Verdana Fields. I wasn't really looking for it. I didn't know what it would do, but I knew I had to do something. And the more I did research and the more I realized what it was and that I would own it, it was mine. There were professionals doing this business. There had to be something to it. So I jumped in. But the whole point of this video is to kind of give you some idea about being a stay-at-home mom. It's not easy, and it's not anything I ever thought that I would do. It's really not. But when my nephew was down this summer visiting with us, and we had a great time with him, and we were doing some little preteen bickering and things like that. And my oldest son said to him, "Wouldn't you just love to live down here?" And he said, "Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad." And I said, "Well, yeah, but then I'm around all the time. I'm never away, so you'd always have me with you." And his comment was, "Well, that would be nice." And it made me realize that while I don't think I have an impact, and I feel like I'm doing nothing for my family, I'm here, and I am present, and I'm in carpool with them. I pick them up. I bring them snacks. No one else has raised my children. I've done it. And that means something, and it matters. And that the ability to do the Verdana Fields in carpool and still be present and make a pretty decent income and to help out with their private school expenses is huge. So don't prejudge what you don't know. Don't judge me for what I do. Ask me questions. I have a pretty big story that I think needs to be told. So please reach out to me if you have any other questions, or I really just wanted to let you guys know a little bit more of my backstory. And it's very winding and there's a lot to it, but I'm always happy to answer any questions. I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. I cannot believe we only have 1 week left before school starts. Kind of stinks. I'm not looking forward to it, but I am going to be present, and I'm there, and I get to take them and pick them up and do everything with them. No one else does. Hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Have a great day.